And we are live on the Icecast Live. Good evening, guys. Good evening, Sam. Good evening, Ollie.
Good evening.
Ooh, that was good.
Good evening, Mr. Chaplin.
What's the time, Mr. Wolf?
Yeah, it's like that. Do you ever get that, Ollie, in your teaching experience? The kids will go, "Good morning, Mr. Matt."
Do you know what? No, because
you
don't really. You come in. I mean, it's so hectic. The minute one group's out of the door, you're trying to get the books out for the next group, and they're queuing up and they're waiting, and it's because you've got to meet them on the door. So there's a bit of formality. It's just impossible to get one set out, and in the half a second you've got to get 30 books out in the order, it's nigh on impossible. So it's more about, for every teacher is very much right. There's the work on the board. It's a 10-minute starter. Do it in silence. That doesn't always work out, but you just try and get the pace going. But I don't. Thankfully, those days are gone.
Yeah. Oh, it sounds very different.
Oh, yeah. It is very. It's a lot more quick paced.
Yeah,
it's a lot more getting that formal start. So you're hoping that if they are sitting quietly, if they are settled, if they are on task, you're hoping most of them engage for the rest of the lesson. But then I am lucky. I think I've mentioned before, I have landed on my feet and I'm working in a very nice school, and long may I be there, to be honest. It's the best school I've ever worked in.
Good stuff. And nobody watching gives a shit.
No,
so,
I know. Yeah.
Neither
of the people watching give a shit.
Yeah.
Sorry, Sam. One person's watching it.
Well,
probably
there will be more. There will be more. Remember,
isn't it?
People watch after the live show as well. So let's not just talk to the two people watching right now.
Yeah.
But hello to you two people.
Hello.
Hello, viewers. Hello, Rob. Hello, Don.
Actually, I should switch the comments on so I can see if anyone's commenting. If you're watching, comment, say hello.
Hello, Nathan Proctor, if you're watching. I saw him at Thought Bubble. He says he watches quite often, and I know he's left comments in the past.
Yeah, it's funny, when I was at Nottingham, a lot of people came up to me and said, "Yeah, Nottingham, Sam, the one you didn't make it to because you were poorly." A lot of people did come up to me. I say a lot, maybe a dozen.
Yeah.
People came up to me and said, "I watched the show and it's good. I like it. We enjoy it." I'm like, "Oh, okay." Because not everyone comments. Not everybody is watching live.
It's the afterlife of the show, isn't it?
Yeah, and you don't realise it accumulates, and there's actually quite a lot of people who do watch it on a regular basis, which is really nice. So if you're watching this now, or if you're watching it later on, or on YouTube or on Twitch, thank you for watching. It's really nice to know you're out there. And I don't give a shit. Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Chris. It's nice to know that you're out.
You're right, Chris. We're not here talking about teaching. You're right.
Yeah.
We have to be careful because I did actually send Chris the link if he wanted to come and join us. Because I know that Chris was at Thought Bubble as well, wasn't he, Ollie?
I don't know. I mean, I was there so briefly this year, as I'll go into a more detail later. So if Chris was there, maybe he was on the Sunday, maybe he was on the Saturday.
Right.
I just wasn't as sociable this year for different reasons.
You didn't give a shit?
I always give a shit about Thought Bubble.
Oh,
it's still one of the best cons.
It is a good con
on the planet, I would say.
I saw some of Len's videos, and it did look pretty good, actually.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully we will be getting Len on the show in the future.
I know he does a night shift, so that's why I was unavailable today.
I've been talking to him, and he is up for doing a little, what do we call it, a collab? So I've been on Len's show a few times myself. But he's never actually been on. He has been on this show when we did the live coverage of.
When we did our 6-hour marathon.
A 6-hour marathon. Load of bollocks.
That was hilarious.
The beginning. That was the start of season 2.
We were learning as we were going on. Yeah.
We still are.
Yeah.
And then later on,
I want to do another one like that.
From the pub, which was
the one from the pub was good actually. Yeah. But anyway, let's
we all got pissed.
Yeah, we got pissed. Yeah, no one cared.
Live on camera.
What we're doing tonight, folks, is I went over on Sunday to MCM for my sins.
The one in Birmingham.
In Birmingham, yeah.
Because everyone thinks MCM is London, and everyone thinks everything revolves around London.
But it's
so hopefully we're here to say no. There is life
Well.
outside of London, even though beer prices are now London prices.
Well, yeah. I hate to think what the prices are in London for beer.
Mm.
But yeah, I went to the MCM show just on the Sunday, which was possibly the more chilled out day, which is good. But it was still absolutely rammed. I don't know how many people were there, but I would say upward of, it looked like about 40,000, something like that.
Wow.
I could be wrong. It's hard to tell in such a big room with so many people.
I think it's probably more.
Yeah, it was a lot of people. Let's put it that way. There were times where I was like, oh, I can't move. Really? Which I don't actually enjoy. I'm not really into crowds. You know, I'm okay. I can keep calm, but I find it quite troublesome and tiring because I'm an introvert, believe it or not. So I don't. A lot of people. Yeah, but I like people, but only so much. You know.
You like people, but you couldn't eat a whole one.
Yeah, exactly. And 40,000 of them is incorrigible. But so, yeah, that was a difficult part of it for me, was navigating the crowds. But it was a very friendly atmosphere, to be honest. There seems to be a lot of people who have very poor social skills. Is
it poor sort of cleansing,
but not in a mean way. I'm not talking about people being rude or people being nasty or anything like that. They're just very shy. What I mean is there's a lot of shy people there. So everybody's so what happens is everybody's very nice, you know. And when you're in a big crowd, people don't like barge into you there. They're quite polite. They'll move out of your way, or they'll I
imagine people still getting, you know, post-COVID kind of crowd problems.
I was surprised how few people were masked up, you know, because I thought, you know, in that environment there might be a higher than normal ratio, you know, of people masked to not masked. But I would say I saw maybe 30 or 40 people masked up out of all that. You know, it's like there's just one or two, but not that many. But it was a very nice, intimidating event.
These days.
And it was very well arranged. You know, it was very well organised. There was a whole hall devoted to just the queue, which was, I found, odd. You know, because most
that's happened for a number of years now, though. That's shame.
Yeah, I mean, it's a long time since I've been to an MCM, and when I have been, I've been let in through the back door by the organisers.
Who are misses?
It's not been I've not been as a fan as such. So that was as a fan experience. I didn't really enjoy the queuing. That was.
What time did you get there then, Shane? Because I know in the past when they weren't using barcodes, it took even longer. But I know from my daughter's experience, she was there on the Saturday. She seemed to be able to speed through because a lot of them were e-tickets. Yeah, I mean,
It didn't take that long. It probably took me about 25 minutes to get in. From start to finish.
Was that 25 minutes of queuing to get in? Then?
Well, moving in the queue. The queue was moving all the time.
So yeah, queuing.
Yeah, but you were queuing, and you know,
at least you weren't queuing for the Queen.
That's what I was thinking. Rather that than seeing a box.
A box, yeah, an expensive box.
So
paid for by the taxpayer.
Oh yeah.
Have you finished?
For now. I'm still seething over the public pay freeze, which in a sense is a pay cut, which it has been for the last 12 fucking years.
Yeah,
so this isn't news. This is what we've had to get used to. It's a fucking sham. But I will try and keep politics out of it. But if anyone wants to comment and fucking have it, because I am
relate the politics vaguely.
All our viewers are going now. They don't want to talk about politics.
Well, maybe they aren't. Yeah. Anyway, comics, which won't go up with the price of inflation, and we'll all be able to afford them in a year's time still.
I wanted to know, Ollie, what the queuing was like at Thought Bubble in comparison.
I don't do queues because
press badge, swan through,
and it really is swan through. But again, it looked, from my experience, there always is a big one queue at Thought Bubble, but again, it seemed to be moving. It wasn't static at any point. Again, it comes with modern technology and barcodes and e-tickets. They were very good with bag checks. It was a good, friendly atmosphere. The security guards were nice and friendly as well. We had lovely weather for it. And
Yeah.
unlike you, where it was busy, what I found, and what I've always found since it moved to Harrogate in a custom-built conference centre, there was a lot of room to move a lot of the time. I was never feeling crushed in. Whether that's a reflection of how many people turned up, because like you said, Sam, I think some people are still a bit wary of COVID, particularly with it being autumn, winter time. So I don't know whether people were there both days, maybe people were there just the one day. But what was interesting, depending on who you spoke to, either people were doing really well or people were doing really quiet business.
Well, there's no sort of middle ground.
Well, from the, it's not like I went around every day. What seemed to be doing well were the comics, because there was for me, and again, this is a total theory based on just anecdotal evidence. I have to be careful, but anyone who was possibly an artist, anybody who was possibly commissioning, might find that they weren't doing as well, because maybe people were just being bit by the cost of living, and so people, I'm assuming, were more wary of what they were spending their money on. And so comics is still something that's of relatively good value compared to maybe a con sketch or a con commission.
Hey, Walter George, how you doing, man? Thanks for tuning in.
So were there back issues? Was that?
Yeah, I was going to ask that.
Interestingly enough, at the back of the first haul, there was a lot more back issue boxes than ever before, and I know a few people were very happy to see that, and so that was good. There was a stall completely CG graded comic books. You know, the ones you can't read because they're in a big bit of plastic. The ones Sam likes, and there we go. He's going to take one out. So look, I'm not against them, because at the end of the day, you can always read a comic in a reprint online. I just find it ridiculous the price it can go up to just because it's in a bit of plastic. Look at that.
Yeah. I have read it. I read this one, and then I read it.
Like I said, there's so many reprints and digital, and so many ways of reading it. I'm not against. I got
this for the cover, so it's know, that's literally.
At the end of the day, it's my thing on slabbing is it's not something I'm interested in doing, but if someone wants to do it, it's their comic, isn't it?
Yeah. How much? I mean, I've never known how much does slabbing cost, Sam. I've never known this, because obviously you're taking a gamble with some of the comics.
25 quid in it, Sam. Well, I mean, what you do.
So if you're slabbing something, you've got to post it, insured. You've got to get it sent to someone who will then send it to America.
Which is now
I mean,
expensive.
also when I did, so I had a slab. I bought a copy of Giant Size X-Men #1.
Yeah.
And I got it cleaned and pressed,
and
sent off. And because it's a high value book, it cost more. So I think to get this slabbed probably cost about £150.
Wow. So for a book like that, you're going to make that money back if you so wish to sell it.
Absolutely. It was a good copy, and then to come back as a 7.5.
That's a good grade for a book of that age. The only book I've ever slabbed, I had a double of Dark Knight Returns #1, and it was in mint condition. So I had 2 mint condition copies, and I was getting rid of all my doubles, and a friend of mine said, if you slab it, you'll get more. So I thought, well, okay, that's fine. So I did do it. I slabbed that copy, and it was a 9.6, and I think I got about 70 quid for it, or something like that.
Yeah.
Hold on, you got 70 quid for it?
Yeah. It cost me like £1. So, you know.
But how much did it cost to slab it?
Yeah, because you probably, did you slab it in with
quid? About 25 quid. My friend slabbed it for me. So yeah, there was a good profit on it. You know what I mean?
Okay.
But
I mean, once I've sent
out
before, you have, it's the more you slab at one time, the better for postage and stuff.
My friends do lots of slabbing. It was like in a bunch of stuff. So you know what I mean?
He probably wasn't charging you for the postage and
it was
stuff like that.
It was a good deal. We got a couple of comments.
So yeah, you've got postage, you've got insured postage, you've got postage coming back, and you probably cost about £40 or 25 between 25 and £40 for the actual slabbing. But well, I mean, stuff like that you want slabbed, but I don't see why you should slab modern stuff.
No, I don't get that. Yeah, so Walter says, I've not paid to get one slabbed yet, rather buy one already done.
Yeah, I think I'm going to
Yeah,
invest
but
in some cling
if you've
film
got-
over the
but-
weekend.
Yeah, but if you bought something cheaply or got something at a recent price, you can get it slabbed and it's easy to sell. Oh, nice.
Yeah. Nice one, John. What grade is yours, John, though? Is it a 7.5?
Irrelevant. He doesn't know it's not slabbed.
Hey.
That's
The
completely...
other thing that gets me about slabbing, I don't need some guy to tell me what the grade is of the comic. I've been collecting comics for 40 odd years. If I don't know what the grade is myself, then I'm never going to sell them. So I haven't got a grading doesn't interest me because I know how to grade comics. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, no idea is his answer. Let me have a look at it, John. I'll give you a grade on it for you, mate.
Yeah, you won't get it back.
No.
Oh,
I will. I will.
That'll be interesting to know which comics you had slabbed for the first time then.
For the first
And that was
time
MCM London, I'm assuming.
Oh, right.
I think
Well,
we picked a
Will-
rich vein of conversation
went to
here with
New York,
slabbing.
didn't
People are...
Yeah.
Comment,
Maybe we should have just done a
comment
whole
if you
show
like
on
slabbing
slabbing.
or not.
Well, maybe we will do.
I wonder if it was one of Will's own comics. Hell to Pay #1, maybe.
My own ones. Yay! Nice one.
That's
right,
my favourite
too.
slab.
Oh,
Although I
that's
did
nice,
buy
yeah.
this as I bought this slab.
Yeah, that's nice. Yeah.
But I think if I was a creator of Will's caliber, I think I would slab my own comics.
Yeah.
I must admit.
Yeah.
What
I've
am I
actually
thinking?
thought about it.
and
I've actually thought about getting a copy of Dracula slabbed, just
Dracula.
Dracula, just for a laugh, you know, and just put it on eBay and see if someone will buy it. We give some of it. Maybe we could do it and give it to charity or something. Is it worth getting a modern age slabbed if you think it's not a 9.8?
you wanna get
depends
it
if it's a
yourself.
key. Depends if it's a key. I got my
depends what it is.
Ultimate Fallout #4, first appearance of Miles Morales, slabbed. It came back as an 8 because it was damaged because it was in a poly bag.
Right.
But still, I managed to sell that. So
Yeah.
Will, by the way, is making reference to Hell to Pay selling out at distributor level. So I know on Comic Con earlier today, hopefully you retweeted it, Will, that we mentioned that they're getting a second printing out. So if anyone is wanting to get on the ground floor, get to your local comic book store, see if you can get Hell to Pay #1 still. That's still a first printing.
Yeah.
But congratulations, Will. Yay! And congratulations to Charles Sewell as well. Who I imagine's watching this show somewhere in America.
Well, we were going to get Will and Charles on, but there was a health issue.
Well, this was more important, wasn't it? Yeah. This was more important. No,
well, we'll hopefully get the guys on the show at a later date, and we'll talk to them about all of it.
Don't make it sound like comic creators are sickly people.
no, it wasn't that. But so we'll probably get Will and Charles on very soon, actually, to talk about the new book and and the success of it. It seems to have done really well.
And plans for the future, because I know it's going to be a whole extended universe. No, comiccon.com, not AIPT.
Yeah, what are you doing?
Sam. Oh, God, he makes a mistake.
I just searched for it. I just Googled it. Was it Comic Con? I don't know. I've never been there.
Oh, what's he got?
Excellent,
Definitely,
cool.
Yeah, we will have more stuff to say soon. Oh, I look forward to it.
Just the one seeing it, unfortunately. Comic On. That's why it's a bit of a difficult one. But once you've got it up, we can get back to what we were originally talking about, which, of course, was our separate convention experiences.
Yes, indeed.
There we go. Comic Con, senior editor. Go and visit everybody.
Yeah,
I think
the website.
Here's a little plug, and I'll say this because obviously I'm very proud of the work my team does. We get quite a lot of interviews that a lot of comic websites seem to not do anymore, which is a shame. There we go. Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah. But we still want you on the show, Will. We still want you on the show.
Crack, Will.
Yeah, just coming out.
Maybe we can make it an all drinking episode at least. That could be our USP.
Yeah, always a pleasure to see you, mate. So Yeah. Anyway, we're getting well off track here.
So
but
so what I was talking about, it
Go
was
on.
interesting to see there was a dedicated booth for back issues, and there was a dedicated book for slab comics as well. And a lot of people, both fans and creators I was talking to, seemed to think that was a good step in the right direction, which I thought was very nice. You know, it was a good comic show. As it always was Thought Bubble, there was more to see than you could ever take on board. And of course, a lot of what was to see was usually at the parties and at the bars on the Friday and Saturday night.
It is a social thing, isn't it? That's the thing about Thought Bubble as well.
Yeah.
Which I enjoyed when I used to go to it. Which is what always we used to do with Ice. You know, it was very much a social event as well. And I think Thought Bubble nailed that. You know, they did the parties and they, you know, and it was great when it was in Leeds. I've not been to the Harrogate one yet. I'm looking forward to hopefully going next year.
It's a lovely part of the country, Harrogate.
Yeah.
Beautiful
Nice
York stone everywhere you can see. You know, it's affluent. But what I like about it, for those people who do like a good night out, it's got a lot of good independent bars. There's very few chain bars in the area. And so there's a lot of different pubs to look out for. There's a jazz pub, there's a sci-fi pub. And my favourite is the Cold Bath Brewery that back in 2019 did a collab with Kieran Gillen's Wicked and the Divine and created a couple of beers.
Yeah.
Oh, wow,
especially for it. Now I know that the last few times Northern Monk have been doing the overpriced beers, but when it was at Cold Bath Brewery, it was reasonably priced and tasted lovely. So who knows? Maybe Cold Bath Brewery will get involved again. But I always enjoy going there because one of the pubs is more of a traditional pub, and the other one's more of a trendy pub with wicked veggie burritos.
That sounds good, mate. So,
well, great Yorkshire hospitality.
Yeah, I do like Yorkshire. You know, I got family up in York, and I've always liked visiting because of the cheap beer and the friendly people. You know.
Oh yeah.
So I work occasionally in Wakefield, so I've been there.
I know Wakefield,
and it's like going to Coronation Street land.
Yeah, it is. So I will say that MCM, believe it or not, did have, I think, 4 quite big back issue dealers.
Good.
So yeah, I only stuck it for 4 hours because of the crowds and everything.
Right.
And the fact that actually that's how long it took me to walk around everything. You know, even though it's a massive event, there wasn't that much there that I was interested in. You know, there's a lot of tat on sale. You know,
well, what is tat to one person, of course, is a pleasure to another
Tat's
one.
Me, but it's cool stuff to people who are into it, which is fair enough. But for me, there was only a few stalls. They did have an artist alley, but in that artist alley, because I was specifically there looking for artists to work with, you know, for Scratch, there were actually only 3 or 4 artists, you know, that I was interested in, because most of it was very much just prints of manga faces, you know, which was really nice. Some of them are beautifully drawn, but there's not a lot I can do with that. You know, can't really publish that.
So what, people selling prints or
prints of their work, you know, really nice work, a lot of it as well. But there were some good illustrators, and there were about 4 or 5 independent comic publishers. And I brought something off everyone because that's what you do, isn't it? You know. So I have got some stuff. I mean, this is one of my favorites. It's a little mini comic called Street Fighting Woman, which has been out for a little while. But I really liked it because it was very Hernandez Brothers in style. Reminded me of Love and Rockets and stuff like that. It was really nice, really nicely done. Nice. And the chap who did it was really nice as well. Don't ask me people's names because I don't remember them. This was from Matt Stapleton with art by Mark Hooley. Gremlins, which bears a striking resemblance to Gremlins. And it's actual gremlins in a tank. So it's going back. It's sort of a reference to what gremlins actually do, I suppose. It is referred to in the film, isn't it? How they, you know. And in the back, there is actually a little. There we go. I don't know if you can see.
Well, there is the Roald Dahl 1940s.
Dick Miller.
Isn't
yeah,
who's Dick Miller?
Who talked about the gremlins in the war in the film? So
yeah,
I thought that was quite nice. What else did I get? This was another one by Klube Comics, Speedrun, which, funny enough, is about Speedster. But it's quite.
I like the design of that with the logo. The title going through the middle of it.
Yeah, it's nice, isn't it?
Works very well.
Very on trend as well. That's what a lot of gamers talk about in speedruns.
Right.
I can't explain like the quality of this, but the print quality of this is outstanding. Really, really nice.
Oh, I can see the shine on it.
Yeah, it's very glossy, but it's very.
What is it called? I can't read the title.
Don't Let Your Dead Ones Die. And don't let your logos be that unreadable is another one I would say that is a good tip. But other than that, it's actually a really good comic. Again from Clube Comics, very nice chap. I spoke to the creator, and it's basically a zombie story. Another zombie story, but it's really nice. It's really nicely done. I picked up Volume 2 of Twisted Dark, which everyone probably already knows about.
Yeah,
but I'm quite far behind on that. And I met
Neil
those
Gibson.
guys.
Was Neil there then?
Neil was there.
Yeah.
Neil and I can't remember the other chap's name now. Young chap, really nice guy. I spoke to them for quite a long time about the experience of selling indie comics at MCM, and what I found that was really interesting. And I spoke to everybody quite a lot. And what I found was because there weren't many people there selling comics, they were doing really well. They were cleaning up. They were selling out of titles, and they were doing
Neil
really
always does well. He's got such a great patter and salesmanship to him. He's always on. He's always high energy. And I remember that going back to, I think when I first started writing about comics, he was one of the first self-publishers I came across because he stood out so much. And this was in the days when Dan Waters was working for him, Casper Wingard was working for him. All this new sort of Brit explosion. They're now making great noises over the pond in America on lots of different comics for DC.
Oh,
and for Star Wars, and for Image, for that matter.
Yeah, that's good. I've got some more comments there. I'm going to bring them out because there's a few. Lawrence Allison. Hey, Lawrence. We'll have to watch this later. Thank you. But just to say, loved TB last weekend. It was super friendly, a huge amount of talent on display, but never felt overwhelming. Loved it. That's
Agree. Yeah, well,
that's good.
Summary.
Glad you enjoyed it. What we got from Ed? I prefer comic-related Comic-Cons like Enniskillen Fest or Lawless instead of your Funko Pop merchandise ones. Yeah, I think very nice. I think most of us do, Ed. You know, to be honest. I go to these other ones just to meet people and to experience new things. And it's close to me. I wouldn't go a long way to go to an MCM because it's not really my type of show, but I had quite a good experience. That 4 hours I spent, I talked to some really nice people and I found a lot of really cool comics. I will go through some more of my stuff in a bit. From John, when I was last at MCM 5 years ago, seemed pretty thin on the comics compared to dedicated con, including dealers. So good to know there's bigger dealers now. Yeah, there were 4 comic dealers there. Local ones from the Birmingham area, I could guess, from the accents. And they had some good stuff. I mean, I will show a couple of, before we move on, I'll show a couple of things that I bought. I got that one, which I've been after for
Whoa!
Yeah.
I bet you haven't got Alan Moore's signature on it like I have.
No, it hasn't got Alan Moore's signature.
No, I got it into him in a pub.
£4. Yeah.
Really?
My first ever modern Superman comic I read was John Byrne's relaunch, and it all made absolute perfect sense, and I loved it because I was a big fan of the Fantastic Four. And then I got into Alan Moore, and someone gave me that Superman comic to read. And I didn't know what the fuck was going on. It was absolutely confusing. I enjoyed it, but I was going, "What? Who is that? What? I don't get it." Yeah. And then I know all about the whole backstory.
It's a huge love letter, isn't it, to Silver Age?
It's lovely. It's beautifully written.
It is great. It is great. But at the time when I read it, it really confused the fuck out of me.
Yeah, and it's so nice that it was Kurt Swan drawing it. It just
and George Perez on inks.
Yeah. And the saddest moment as well when Superman meets Supergirl from...
Let's not spoil it. Someone might not have read it. Some people... Some of our younger viewers might not have read it.
A 30-year-old comic.
She comes back in time and meets up with Superman, but from his point of view, he knows that she's dead and so he has to not. Oh, it's
In
just
fact,
weird.
it's that
And then
confusing.
she
That
goes
confusing,
she
really
goes
spoiling.
away, and he just starts crying. That's so.
It's brilliantly done. I also got a couple of these for other people.
Very
Very
cool.
nice.
That was £8. That
Kirby
one.
goodness.
But a bit of Kirby goodness, and I love this one. That's how much was that one? That was a tenner. That's Kirby. That's Kirby throughout. I think this one, the other one, was another artist. It's just a Kirby cover.
Sandman.
But I really like that cover. It's really nice. It's really, really nice. I got a bunch of Hitman comics that I gap fill in because I have a collection of Hitman.
Section 8, my favourite.
And
Bueno.
yeah, it's just really good stuff. Really good stuff.
Oh yeah.
If anyone out there hasn't read Hitman, sort your life out.
It's
Read Hitman.
so good. Hitman is so good.
More gap
Oh yeah,
filling.
Beetle.
Man, that's very good. Got a Legion comic. That was £1. And a few indies, and I got this for £4. Swamp Thing number 11.
Oh no.
There is a big there's a crease on the back cover.
Is that Bernie Wrightson?
It's
not for £4.
No, it's not. I don't think it's a Wrightson. I'm not sure actually. I'll have to have a look.
Those pre-more Swamp Things are really nice actually.
Actually, I got it for £3 in the end because it was a bit faded. I said to the guy, and I was buying loads off him. I said, "Can I have that for £3?" And he was like, "Yeah, go on." Jam.
It's when you go to a Comic Con and you haggling, and then you take it out, and then you take the haggling out and do it in front of your kids, and they are so embarrassed. It's great.
Yeah. Oh, well, haggling's for us oldies, isn't it?
Well, I ended up haggling in a bloody charity shop.
No, you didn't. You tight bastard.
Really?
Was that those comics that you bought?
Yeah,
those
listen,
comics?
I am right.
Comics.
So there's one comic shop that I think everyone knows about because always mentions King's E. I found another one that I'm not telling anyone about because I know they're sitting on a bloody goldmine of Bronze Age and Silver Age comics. And I also know that they're overcharging. Now, I've bit my tongue every time I go into the King's E because I know what they're doing is they're looking at eBay and going, right, that's how much it is. So
they're not looking at sold. They're looking
they're not. So a lot of these sort of like ropier comics that I've found in this new charity shop, the Bronze Age and Silver ones, they're still far overpriced and some of them are falling apart. So even though I know the money's going to charity, or at least one penny in the pound's going to charity, I did want to put them straight. Go, look, you're overcharging for some of these comics, and that to be honest, that got me conversing, and they did say, well, look, that we have got others in the back. We won't let you look at them now because we're about to shut up because it was on a Sunday and I'd be coming from a record fair. But I said, well, okay, well, I'll keep on coming back to every now and again and giving you a bit of advice on the price.
Yeah. Well,
so that's a gold mine,
won't they? They will sell more if
they'll sell more that way. To me, but the thing is, I enjoy the hunt. I must admit. Now I know they've got them. Rather than just going, give me all the comics, I like to go there every again. And like I said, this was a surprise. I was going up to meet a friend who's DJing at a record fair locally, and my spidey sense was tingling, as it always seems to do. I'm one of those people that you can drop me in the middle of the Sahara and I'll find a comic shop. It just happens to me everywhere I go. And
you always do that. Whenever I've been with you, actually. We've always kind of...
So I just walked into this particular shop, didn't expect to have any comics, and then there, in a display case, was about 5 or 6 really lovely Superman comics and Batman comics. But the one I really liked was the first Vardox, because I remember reading that. Yeah, I remember reading that in black and white. Do you ever remember that monthly magazine called Superheroes with the lovely Alan Craddock painted covers? And I saw that, and it's one of those comics I never thought I'd see out in the open. So even though it was overpriced, I thought I'm buying that because I want to own that. I want to be able to sit in it, read it, and enjoy my childhood. That had a very, very specific memory for me because I loved those particular monthlies. A lot of our viewers may remember it as well. You were drawn to the fact that they were beautifully painted covers by this artist, Alan Craddock. And then you had a whole plethora of, there wasn't much thinking. Sometimes you'd have the Neil Adams Batman. Then you might have something from, the first Green time Lantern. Hydra became the Green Lantern. Then you had the JSA double-headed drawn by Joe Staton that was in All Star Comics in the 70s. But I soon learned a lot about DC history just from the sort of like this mix and match kind of style that they presented. And they were always two full stories in one issue and a word search. And I was young enough to do the word searches.
No, I never read any of it.
If you could find superhero, just to show people the level of beauty on the
superheroes,
covers,
if you can find them,
I've never seen anything like it, because this was in the era of the Spider-Man digest and things like that, where you've got a lot, but nothing like this from DC. Certainly nothing like this.
I mean, it's where I discovered Neil Adams was.
I think it was for me.
Black and
white.
I was
buying
Neil
DC
Adams,
stuff,
Batman.
But this stuff really spoke to me.
Stuff. Yeah, and I think it's why I still love black and white. I still love black and white comics for that reason. I mean, Mighty World of Marvel as well, which was black and white. But the superheroes, it was a beautifully short-lived series.
I found something, but it doesn't look very pretty to me.
No, then put Alan Craddock in. Alan Craddock, superhero. No, it was early 80s, mid 80s. I think it ran for about 24 issues. And there was one cover where it was a whole jamboree of DC characters, and you could pretty much work out which famous person.
Here we are. There it is.
Superhero. Yeah, Superhero Monthly, 40p.
Where is it?
Yeah. That's the one.
There you go.
Oh, look at that.
I've got mine.
What a cover. What a cover.
Brilliant. Not that. That. Yeah. How long did it run, Ollie? I can't remember.
24 issues, 2 volumes. So it did the old after 12 issues. Yeah, but just absolutely amazing stuff. And they were like, 2000 AD size, magazine size as well.
Yeah, magazine.
That's the cover that I'm pointing at the screen. The one with all of the different characters. Where, the one where you can see Debbie Harry, you can see Linda. There's Debbie Harry as a Power Girl.
It's Power Girl.
Yeah.
So cool.
You've got film Superman.
Christopher Reeves, I think is the word you're looking for.
Yeah, Christopher Reeves. Yeah.
Metal Men.
It's so
that
good.
Was such a great.
Yeah,
volume 2,
Doesn't
number
that just
1.
Take you back. Just like seeing that artwork.
And look, the back cover.
Look at that. Look at that.
Ooh,
that Green
Lantern.
Lantern.
Is that Sean Connery?
Yeah, and there's Lou Ferrigno as the Creeper.
Yeah.
See what I mean?
So good.
Black Orchid.
Yeah, I mean, some of the images are a bit ropey, but then look how many pictures, look how many he's put in there. That's almost.
Oh my God! Look at Swamp Thing.
Yeah.
He's had a bad
He's
day,
Toxic Avenger.
He's having a bad hair day.
Yeah.
Hey,
look, it's Elton John. It's Elton John as Miracle Man. So yeah, Elton John as Miracle Man. Sean Connery.
Oh God, that's so good.
Great stuff.
Oh man, they just don't make comics like that anymore, do they?
Not covers.
Look at that. There you go.
Yeah, beautiful.
Huntress, yeah. Oh, look at that.
Superman 2, the best Superman movie.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Awesome. No. I debate. I don't like Superman 2.
No,
I
like them both. I think 1 and 2 are both brilliant.
It manages to have comedy without being ridiculous.
Well,
it's just of its time.
Superman 3 is the one with comedy. That's a Richard Pryor film. Superman 3.
Oh, yeah, that was
with a bit of Superman.
Superman 2's got the best line ever when the president goes, "Oh God."
Yeah.
No.
Zod. Although, I watched Superman 3 and I hated it when it came out. I thought it was terrible.
I enjoyed it when it came out.
I mean, I enjoyed it.
I watched it the other day and there's a couple of great scenes in it. Like the scene when he's drunk in the bar. Is
that when he fights himself?
Yeah,
and then afterwards he fights himself in the scrappy. That is brilliant. That is so good. That whole sequence in the bar when he's bad.
And Robin Vaughan plays quite a good baddie, and I always loved his. Penthouse with his own little snow slope.
Yeah.
I mean, that was supposed to be Lex Luthor, wasn't it?
Well,
his character.
It would have been Lex, and it was supposed to be Brainiac, I assume, the robot. But back in the day, they never used the proper characters, did they?
Tell you what, we've gone off tangent again, haven't we?
We have, but
to bring it back, I'll tell you I was only there for one day because there's a few people I want to thank. So months and months ago, I thought I had a really good deal. Being at the Doubletree Hotel where all the creators are, I thought, yes, 155 for 2 days. Brilliant. Didn't bother checking. I got my little email on the Thursday.
Back in a minute.
One night and one night only. I was mortified and gutted.
So,
and
did you mess up the booking then when you made the booking?
I must have messed up the booking.
Oh, mate.
And going from quite elated for getting a room for 2 nights for 155 to then paying for one night for 155, where effectively you're sitting drunk and falling asleep and then waking up and checking out. So being the frugal, smart person with money I am, i.e. tight, I was gutted. And so I have to thank Alison Sampson and also Jake Detonator and Leonard, all of whom came to my rescue and said, look, there's a bed for you if you want it Saturday night. Oh. However, I had a little epiphany on Saturday afternoon, which is usually when I start losing the voice in my throat. And I thought, you know what? I've had a lovely Friday evening socialising with some really good friends, some really good creators who I'm getting to know on this kind of scene, that I realised, I thought, you know what? If I socialise Saturday night but don't drink, I can still drive home and wake up in my own bed the next day. Yeah. And although I was on an ahhing, the minute I woke up on the Sunday morning, I realised I'd done the right thing, because I've had a busy day at work, a busy week at work. And I think I just needed that resting space, because it's a lot working all week, and then getting on the motorway, driving up, literally getting straight on the beer when I got there, because I bumped into a good graffiti friend of mine, Keith Hockwell, who's also got a comic out, although he didn't have a table. And so I know next year he wants to go and table, but this year he wanted to see the fans. So got upstairs, didn't even bother having a shower, straight back again, and then bumped into other people. And Will Potter, who I've got to know really well over the years, who's in the band Cuds that many people may remember from the mid-90s, who's also on tour at the moment. And having had a great 2 evenings with Will, I thought, cut my losses, time to get off. And so I did. The one disappointment I had, if I'm honest, is not getting the chance to meet up with Scott Snyder, who did want to meet up, but he had so many people around him. I didn't want to feel that sort of person butting in on a conversation. So I had a wonderful time. I had a great time talking with people on the Saturday. And then, of course, you have that regret thinking, oh, I didn't know that person was there. I didn't know that person was there. Maybe I should have stayed on the Sunday. But with no hotel room to go back to and being 6'5", I was on my feet from 10 in the morning till 6 in the evening, and my back was killing me.
I bet, man.
Absolutely killing me. So I had to.
But you know what, don't you? You know what? No one gives a shit.
No. Well, I was trying to get us back on track, Shane. I'm trying to tell some kind of story.
We've got 6 viewers. Some people give a shit.
Shane.
Yeah. Comment if you give a shit.
Know how bad I am with hotel rooms. That time I thought I booked a hotel in. I hadn't even booked a hotel room in
Brighton.
Well,
where did you
I remember when we went to London and I slept on your
that's right,
hotel
Sam,
bedroom floor.
Yeah.
And that was fucking uncomfortable.
Oh, we
slept so cold.
Hey, listen,
and also I literally had to use the what's that thing? The kind of like the decorative thing on the bottom of the bed. That was my duvet. I was lying on the floor.
But we had a great night in Earls Court that Saturday.
It was a great night. Well, my trousers rolled up as the pillow. Yeah, that was great.
Memories. And I think that's what it was. For me, it was like I knew I wasn't going to get that many panels covered for ComicCon.com. I knew that what I wanted to achieve was achieved. So we sat in on a lovely panel with Comixology. No one had known about it because they'd moved all the panels from upstairs, where it's been for the last couple of years, right to the back of the third hall you have to walk through. So you had the likes of Scott Snyder on there, you had the likes of Richard Starkings, you had Jock, you had Tallulah Lotte, you had a whole plethora of people who, whilst they were on their own panels throughout the week, were all there on this one massive panel with Mark Bernardine as well. So I thought, wow, I've hit pay dirt here. I think that's one of the photos I sent over to you, Shane, where it's just a whole group of creators and it was a lovely panel. And what was interesting this year about the panels is because they, like me, obviously hadn't checked it all thoroughly. There was no PA system, so we all came in and we all had to put headphones on, which was quite a weird experience because it was quite a full panel, but everyone had headphones on, hearing all the individual, and the creators loved it. Scott Snyder thought, and I love the joke he made, wouldn't it be great if everyone just walked away with the headphones on and they could hear Scott Snyder's thoughts for the rest of the day? And I'm thinking, there's something in that, you know.
That's not a good idea.
I thought you were to say you're going to go. He's going to keep his microphone on. And
I'll tell you what.
Scott Snyder,
just imagine it. These fucking fans, they do me head in.
He likes his whiskey. When I saw Scott Snyder about 10:30 Saturday night, and I'm being sober, you're more aware of the people who are pissed out of their heads. Scott, who'd had a busy weekend of it, I believe, and even hired a car and drove up from London to Harrogate with his son. I think on the Saturday night, his son, who's about 15, 16, so he was able to stay in his hotel room on his own without getting snatched. I think Scott was able to go out drinking Saturday night. I know for a fact he stayed up late Friday night because Chris Imber from Reckless Heroes, Chris Imber, the artist, who is such a phenomenal artist, kept Scott Snyder up till about 3 a.m, Friday morning, Saturday morning. But you wouldn't have told it because Scott was the consummate professional.
Really?
And one last thing to big up Scott Snyder, he would not leave his signing table until everyone got their comics signed. And I think that's brilliant. A lot of them did that. Last year, James Tynion's queue was absolutely massive. But this year, at about 4 o'clock on the Saturday, there was a sweet spot where no one was at his table. And people could have gone up to him and just got their comics signed. So because I'd had Martin Simmons sign my Department of Truth the year before, I got James to sign them, more because I treat the signings as memories now. Of the, so if you pull them out of the long box, you remember the comic. And when I said this to Ram V, he actually put the date 2022 on the 3 detective comics I had with me, which is lovely.
Yeah.
So,
I'm enjoying that run, by the way, that detective run.
It's amazing. Well, Ram V is a phenomenal voice in comics today. Absolutely phenomenal.
Good stuff, man.
I
love Swamp Thing.
Yeah, well, he can stand on the shoulder of giants, and I think in years, and I've said this in a lot of my reviews, I think when people look back at his run of Swamp Thing, and Mike Perkins is a big part to play in that, I think people will look at that and remember it as one of the classics. There's been lots of runs of Swamp Thing, lots of runs, but this one I think will really resonate through the ages. Plus, I did hear over the weekend that was meant to be one of the DC 5G titles that never were because Dan Didio got the sack. So although there's no real explanation why there's suddenly a new Swamp Thing, apparently it's one of the ideas from the 5G that continued. So it's great to have 2 very diverse and different Swamp Things. And it'd be interesting to see what DC do that going forward.
I mean, one big difference between the 2 events that we're talking about tonight is the guests, isn't it? I mean, you talked about names like Scott Snyder and Jock and James Tinian and things. They're big names and they're comic creators. At MCM, there was one professional comic creator, and that was Nigel Parkinson, who does the Beano. That was it. I did see Nigel, and he was doing really well, obviously, because he was the only professional comic artist there.
He's such a figurehead. An ambassador for the Beano, isn't he, Nigel? He was brilliant at Comic Salopia. I've seen him holding panels together, and really,
he's great.
He's literally something out of the Beano, and a great ambassador for Liverpool as well. I must admit, he's a joy to be with. I think Nigel is, and that's what you want, isn't it, with life? As we get older, it's all about memories and moments, I think.
Well, he was busy all the way through the day. I managed to speak to him. There was like a 10-minute period where he'd taken a list and I managed to have a chat with him. But then there was people turning up behind me and I was like, right, I'll let you get on, Nigel, because I can see you're busy. and he was happy as Larry to be the only comic creator there. The only
I think what MCM don't do well, they do it well in London. That's where they got all the comic creators like Will, etc. But
there's nothing
never invested in Birmingham.
No. They need to sort that out.
Use the name, use the MCM, use comic in the title, and not to have any comic.
Well, listen, these are the guys.
Some big names, They need some big names.
These are the guys who several years ago, when Reed Pop had just bought them out, brought through Jeff Darrow, sat him in Comic Village, didn't do any big hoo-ha about him, didn't put him on a panel, and Jeff Darrow, to entertain himself and I think to have a little fun, started drawing on this old standout wooden table. Over the course of the weekend, because I was there on Saturday, Sunday, he'd created one of these amazing, magnificent. And you know what? Because no one knew what they had on their hands, I can guarantee that table was probably taken away and go, oh, that's been drawn on now, and probably got rid of, never to be seen again.
They'll probably sell it for loads.
The following year, they had Ron Mars, and Ron Mars wasn't happy because what the fuck was he doing there?
Wasn't the right sort of show.
Well, it should be, because this is Reed Pop. Reed Pop know what they're doing. They do New York Comic Con. They should know. But once again, Birmingham's treated like a bastard cousin with web feet and two heads.
I would imagine that they are not aware of the heritage that Birmingham has for comic conventions.
Or even the bloody creators who live
the massive
in the area.
Fan base, the comics fans in Birmingham is huge. So the people who were doing comic, the people who were selling comics, the professionals,
oldest comic shop in the country.
Yeah, they were doing well, man, because there's a lot of people in Birmingham who want comics. So MCM, you need to get your act together, and it's cool what you're doing, but you need to get your comics sorted.
Or reach out to us. We can put you in the right direction. You've obviously
got that. We run comic conventions for years.
Anyway, maybe they shouldn't have sacked the backroom people like Dave Axby and people like that.
Maybe.
Or did I say that out loud?
There's stuff gone on, obviously, that's diluted whatever they're doing. But, that's a shame.
However, because I want to present two sides. What MCM does very well at, speaking to a few of my students and my own daughter's experiences, they connect people through cosplay. And I know that's a big part of MCM. They embrace it. And I see these students, some of whom are very quiet in school, come alive and be enveloped and surrounded by other like-minded people. And I saw it with my daughter a few years ago when she dressed up as Vanya from the Umbrella Academy. And it was that first series where a couple of the stars were there, and she went off with these other people dressed up as characters from the Umbrella Academy into the evening for a good few hours, and then came back again when it was the time for her to meet the stars using my guest pass. Press pass. So I think MCM knows what it does. I wish it did more about comics. I'm glad you're calling it a show, not a comic convention. But the amount of kids who came up to me going, "Sir, did you go to MCM?" No, I went to the comic convention up north. What's that, sir? What's that, sir?
Yeah. But unfortunately, that's what people think comic conventions are now. But that's another show. But I think that. I think that what they do well. That's it. Yes,
never has.
So of course there was. Of course there was. There's been a few actually, and the first ever comic convention in Britain was in Birmingham.
That's true. Yeah.
UCAC didn't UCAC start in Birmingham?
No, it was before UCAC. It was 1968. You want to ask Lou Stringer about that? He was there.
Oh yeah.
So there's a history of comic conventions in Birmingham going back much further than the stuff I did. Back before.
Started off at the Mac. I remember.
Yeah, well, there you go.
I've been speaking to a lot of locals, and it started off at the Mac, very early doors. And of course, unfortunately, it's never gone back.
What's to the Mac? What's the Mac?
Really nice venue. It's a really nice venue, actually, the Mac.
It was.
Yeah, I remember going there as a possible looking at that place, but it was just too far off the beaten track.
It looks like an airport waiting lounge nowadays. It was lovely.
Yeah.
It was lovely originally before.
Ben was at Thought Bubble as well, I understand, and did really, really well with the 77. I understand they had a really successful weekend at Thought Bubble.
Again, so the people selling comics, and there was a lot. I know that Steve Tanner from Time Bob Comics, another Midland-based publisher, he had a good Thought Bubble, a better Thought Bubble Saturday than a year ago. And a year ago, everyone did well because everyone was coming out of COVID. But what was nice to see was people who are mainstays there, like Kieran Gillen returning again, because obviously the year before there was still that weariness with COVID. And I think maybe Kieran Gillen's partner was pregnant, maybe about to have a baby, so we'll let him off for not being there.
Yeah, we'll let him off.
But what was also interesting is the comic book creators from America who were wearing masks in San Diego and possibly in New York weren't necessarily wearing masks in the UK.
Okay, that's interesting.
And I think it's that subconscious. We're all sheep, aren't we? And I think and I saw some creators starting wearing masks at the beginning of the day on Saturday, but weren't wearing masks. But I must say, a lot of the volunteers, a lot of the staff were wearing masks throughout the day. But there was no signs or anything like that, like there was at New York Comic Con that everyone ignored. So it was very much at your own discretion.
I mean, in this country now, it's like nobody, unless you're vulnerable, people tend not to think about it anymore, do they? I mean, I was half expecting to get, if not COVID, at least some concrete, at MCM, because it was so crowded. You were so close to people, and the train in as well, because I got the train because I will not drive into Birmingham. So I got the train, and that was really crowded because there was like 4 carriages for MCM.
Full of cosplayers, yeah, it's great. Because you see all these other people looking around going, what the hell's going on here? It's great fun. It's really great fun.
To, like normies, as I call them, normal people. They were going, what are all these people dressed up for? What's going on? And it was really interesting, like funny, listening to another normal person trying to explain to a normal person what was going on. It's so funny, like the conversations I was listening in on.
So it's like a big fancy dress party.
Yeah, it's like, they dress up as Spider-Man and shit like that. That was one of the comments. It's just so, it's like, what's the matter with all these people? What are they doing? And obviously you always get the like real assholes who have to put it down. It's just people having a good time.
Yeah, and that's what MCM is good at. It is a celebration of comic, of pop culture, and I think a lot of the time it does sell itself like that. It does advertise itself like that. Yeah. I'm just ashamed that it does clash with Thought Bubble now that the Birmingham one's down to 1 show a year rather than 2 shows. I would quite happily go back there again, I must admit, because the cosplay is amazing. And this time of year, you have some great Christmas cosplay. A couple of years ago, I saw an amazing Krampus scaring the bejesus out of kids. It was, and you could just spend the whole day talking to these cosplayers, hanging out with them.
Yeah.
So, even though I was being quite mean to MCM, it serves a purpose, and it is a gateway for a lot of people, a lot of maybe outsiders of in schools like mine who find their true calling and communities they can plug into days, weeks, years after the comic convention shuts its doors. So,
and buy a lot of Funko Pops.
And buy a lot of Funko Pops.
There were quite a lot of Funko. There was only like 3 stalls selling them, actually.
My kids are getting into Funko Pops.
We got a pop-up Funko Pop in Birmingham New Street Station. It wasn't there a week ago or so. Now it's appeared. It's almost as if there's nowhere else to buy Funko Pops.
All right. There's loads of them. They're everywhere.
I bought it.
Forbidden Planet. It's like a wall of Funko Pops, isn't it?
Oh, I'm not saying I haven't got them. I just think there's a lot of Funko Pops. I wonder what Funko Pops is doing to lessen its carbon footprint.
Who knows? That's another show.
Maybe they're recyclable plastic.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Maybe.
No, this is a fake Funko Pop.
Is it? Is it fake ones now? It's like fake Lego. There's always a fake. Anything that's
why? How do you know? I mean, obviously it's where you bought it from.
Bought it on eBay. It was. You can tell it's fake because
it's shit.
Oh wow!
and they always have stuff on their boots.
Yeah. I got
the
this
box itself. The box is incredible.
Toys.
It's exactly the same.
Wow.
I mean, I spent ages researching it because my daughter was convinced it was fake, and I was like, well, I can't tell any difference. The box.
It's only
so
with the
similar.
fake toys though that you'll get like DC and Marvel characters in the same packets. You know.
Yeah. Maybe they should have called themselves Funko Plops or something like that.
It's so perfect. Look,
Funko Pops.
It's got the,
Yeah.
It's. I mean, yeah. The skill to make a fake Funko Pop like this is incredible.
Yeah, just rob a van full and sell them on the black market that way. Surely that's easier.
Yeah.
Do it Goodfellas style.
Anyway, so now I'm trying to sell a fake Funko Pop on eBay. But I'll have
there
to
was
say
one more comic I wanted to just share from MCM before we go, and it was this. I don't know if you guys have seen this, but it's a comic about poker.
Oh, no. Okay. Oh, very good.
Online. And it's a story about some characters who go to a poker tournament, and it's not just about the tournament; it's about all their little backstories. And it's quite, I don't know, I thought it was quite a cool idea. Okay. And it's a really big, thick book as well with lots of material in it.
And have you read it yet, Shane? Because that looks like a,
yeah, I haven't read it.
Weekend read with a couple.
Yeah, I'm going to have a read of it this weekend. It's really thick, you know. It's a big book.
Wow, yeah.
They were really nice guys.
You can have comics about everything, you know. I mean,
yeah, that's what I liked about it. It was a totally
Japanese
different
manga about cup ramen.
I'm quite into poker. I enjoy playing poker, so I thought, yeah, I'll give. And it looks really good, you know, story-wise. It's really interesting. The art varies. The quality of the art. There's two different artists, so one is decidedly better than the other. But the really nice guys.
That reminds me of a joke, actually. How do you annoy Lady Gaga? Poker face.
Poker face, yeah. And on that note...
Now tell us the joke, Sam.
yeah, tell us a funny joke, Sam. And then
tell us that good joke you've got.
Boom, boom! Bum, bum!
Last comment from John. Seems everyone's got their own Funko Pop likeness nowadays. I'm waiting for a Chebo Funko Pop. It'd just be a big round head, wouldn't it? That's it. That's all you need.
You can imagine the people in China going, "Oh, we've got to make a fake one of this now as well."
Yeah, a fake Chebo. It's it's going to be the overpacked one, don't you? When you get one, when retailers get them in a box, we've got about 90 Chebos. Be a pariah of comic.
Yeah, you're not going to be a chase figure, are you?
No. Definitely not. Definitely not. Anyway, guys, I think we've done an hour. I think that was a pretty good hour.
I think that's a nice hour, yeah.
And Walter appreciated the idea of Chebo Pop. Oh, please don't do it! Don't do it! Oh no!
Someone draw a Chebo Pop and send it in.
Well, if you do,
put it as the background.
That's your homework for tonight.
We'll show it. Thanks, Walter. So, thanks, guys, for that tonight. That was good fun.
Always a pleasure, Shane.
I think the conclusion is, they're both shows that do what they do very well. They just do different things. And we both enjoyed our time at the shows.
Yeah.
So, thank you to the organisers.
So.
Well, one last question, Shane. What famous people did they have there at MCM?
Well, I told you about that, haven't I?
I might have nipped out when.
Oh no, you mean famous people that aren't in TV stars? They had a wall of them. They had a wall of them. Big names who I didn't know who any of them were.
There was a lot of big names. They're
just people. I'm just not into those shows. You know what I mean? There was just a wall of people, and I was like, oh, all the autographs. And I was walking along them, just looking. I didn't realise I was walking in front of the queue. I was just like, I don't know who any of these people are. I guess they must be famous for something, and I'm sure they are. In those realms.
Well, no, the MCM do get the star attractions names, that way. They do, and they do bring them up to Birmingham.
And there's lots of people there interested in meeting these people and getting signatures. So obviously they were hitting the nail there.
It sounds like me watching this. I'm a Celebrity. Who's that? I've never heard of them. Who's that? Is that a celebrity?
Well, they're mostly famous now, aren't they, on those things for being on those sorts of shows. Yeah. They're not actually.
It's like when you watch. There's an advert, and it's a football-related advert, and they've got someone playing football, and I'm like, is that a footballer or is that just an actor? Because I have no idea.
Yeah.
Come on, you should be happy that Wales is in the World Cup this year.
Yeah, well done, Wales.
Yeah, I would be happy if there were the World Cup if it was the Rugby World Cup. I don't care about this.
Well, they always do well in the rugby. They're great at rugby.
Well, as long as they beat England, I'm happy.
Yeah, they haven't got as many teams to beat in rugby. That's why, have they? There's about 5 fucking teams in the whole world.
So enjoy round 1, Wales. It'll be great.
So they're playing against Iran and America, aren't they?
England are playing Iran. Wales are playing America Monday night, I think.
Oh, well, that's a good matchup, actually.
And then I think the public floggings and beheadings in Qatar on Tuesday morning.
I'm going to the pub to watch Wales-England, and I'm going to have to ask if I can cheer for Wales, or I'll get my head kicked in. I'm not sure what the... if it was rugby, it'd be absolutely fine, but I don't know what
Well, the etiquette is. I'm sure it'll be fine in Leamington Spa.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think
all those chinos and wines will be thrown everywhere in someone's
that gentrified Leamington Spa. Yeah.
Oh, well done. That was a goal.
Let's call it a night. Thank you very much.
Well done. You kicked the ball.
And thank you for everyone for watching. Thank you, Walter.
Cheers, Walter. Always good to have a bit of feedback.
Thank you, John, over on Twitch for modding. Thank you, Will Sliney, for coming on.
Yeah, star attraction, Will Sliney.
Yeah. Really good to talk
He's probably not watching anymore, is he?
No, he's gone now. I've had enough of these.
Who are we having next? Who's on next week, Shane?
I can't tell you. Come
on, Shane. This is what's missing from the podcast. Letting people know days in advance rather than hours in advance who's on the show.
We want people to be like waiting.
Yeah. Well, I tell you what, we can tell them that near in December we're going to have our annual booze up, aren't we? Where we're going to talk about our favourite comics, our favourite moments, and hopefully we'll have some of our favourite friends on the show drinking with us. And then Chris Ball can keep you online for another 2 or 3 hours after that.
Yeah,
which he did last time. Yeah. Oh God.
If you
enjoyed this show, you will enjoy our Christmas show or New Year's show.
Warning. Last week, I learned that I was co-presenting about a minute before.
Yeah. I had given him about an hour or two's warning, but it wasn't great warning. But of course, I was on your toes. Thursday last minute.
It's good.
But as soon as I get the guests sorted, I will announce. So
that's the truth, isn't it?
Yeah.
You've got
I can't confirm
from, haven't you, Shane?
It might be Will Sliney and Charles Seal. You never know.
You never know.
Might be. Because, so, we will have someone, though. We'll have someone will come on. Okay, thanks, guys. We will see you. Sam, can you play the video? Because we didn't play at the beginning. Let's play it at the end. Don't call fake.
Let's go.